to address, I guess, the situation with the back pay or the retro pay or the one-time bonus that I was paid back in July of being $750. Several minutes that we have here in the last past few months, I guess, where it was addressed that I be looked at and compensated the same as what Rita was back in May, when that was put through when Angie left back in April, the end of April. There was paperwork where that was submitted at the same time for the two of us, and it was to my understanding, and obviously that Rita was the only one that was approved. I was never given an explanation as to why, with my added responsibilities, the same as with hers, even though I understand she came at a higher level, taking over the duties of the actual assessor, was never explained to me why I wasn't compensated at the same time. When I came here, I came from Noble County. Most of you probably already know, 11 years experience, not in different offices of Noble County, but in the same office, the assessor's office. I came at a very crucial time in a county assessor's office, and that is personal property collection time was when I came here. Right in the height of it. I had to be trained software-wise. We had the same software up there as what they have here, only the difference up there was we had two part-time girls that handled the personal property part of it up there, because when the trustees were relieved of their duties, Noble County chose to hire two part-time girls, and they done the work. So I kind of had to be refreshed when I came here back on the software, and I made mistakes, and I had a few bumps, but it all kind of flowed back to me. 2 weeks after I was here was when Rita had to be absent for one of her level 3 classes. And that left Angie and I in the office to continue the flow of what needed to be done personal property wise, and I'm talking abundance of calls, people at the counter. By the end of the day, when you've dealt with people and you've gone through the mail, you might have a stack of personal property filings yay high. And but we did that with the help, of course, of our part-time girls that come in. And since also during this time in my short time of employment here, Rita has had to take vacation time that obviously she was allowed. That was in July. There again in August, another level 3 class that she had to be absent for, and Assessor's Conference in August as well. And I've been here since March 19th. And with the help of our part-time girls, that left me in charge for the functions of that office. And I guess in saying that, and the assessor's office is preparing for another very crucial time, which I don't know how many of you are aware of. In a couple weeks, we'll be mailing our notice of assessments, our Form 11s. And that is a very grisly time in this county. That opens up a 45-day window appeal time where people can come in and appeal their assessed values. And we're talking phones are going to be ringing off the hook. People are going to be at the counter again, and pretty much your daily function of the other things in the assessor's office is going to come to a halt, and we're going to be left very busy. And there again, I don't truly believe someone coming in to this position like I did, green the county government, has no clue, never worked a day in it, could come in and do and allow the absence of your chief deputy, the absence of an assessor who had been here a very long time, and things continue to flow the way that they have without certain things standing still in those absence. And yet, I understand back in August meeting, you want me to give back, you want to take back from me the $751 bonus that was given to me for those things. And it concerns me very much. So that's why I'm here.
Any questions?
I think there's a question about what she does. That's an issue. I guess maybe Paul can research this more than just researched it. I guess the question, what did we tell her in the first place? What did we tell her we would do?
The first letter came from Angie with added responsibility to increase her pay. The second letter came for both Rita and Ken to be put at, from Rita in May, to be increased to 95% of the pay of the assessor and the chief deputy. At that May meeting, the only they weren't given the $900 and the $800 in the increase to 90 or 95%. I have a copy of the letter, I'm pretty sure it's 95. At that time, there was a motion made to give Rita, and only Rita, $750. Why only Rita? I don't know. I can't remember the particulars. And it was at that time said it would be looked at again after the caucus, after everything fell through and everything was done. And at that time, I wrote up that salary change and signed it. I will admit it. I wrote them both up exactly the same.
No,
In May.
they're not exactly the same.
Well, they're not
One says
exactly.
bonus, and one says $750 and a one-time payment, and the other one is five $150 payments, and they're on two totally different dates.
Yes, they're not exactly the same. I will agree, they're not. But they were for the added responsibilities. And looking back now, I wish I wouldn't have done either one of them. Either you would have said yes to both of them at the same time, or no to both of them at the same time. That's my opinion.
Well, okay. I made the motion to give Rita the additional funding, and I stand behind that motion. I don't think because you give one thing to one employee, that means all the other employees deserve that thing. If that were the case, we would be paying,
It's a two-person in the office.
Jen, don't let me speak.
Okay.
If that were the case, we would be paying a number of different people additional monies whenever that took place. We had the same type of incident in the recorder's office. The recorder had an injury in her brain. The deputy recorder stepped up, did not ask for a thing, okay? In this county, and I know, and I appreciate your experience from Noble County. I'm also a level 1, level 2. I've worked for the assessor's office. I worked for Accurate Assessments that worked with Noble County at the time. I understand the process. But in this county, when you're brought on, I think there's a couple things that have taken place here. I think maybe you were brought on with the idea that you're going to be paid or compensated more than what you were. It's very clearly stated within our system what employees are hired at, and that's why we have an HR director to make sure those type of things are kept straight. Rita, it was my idea to give Rita that additional money because she is stepping in for the elected official. The buck stops there. It is different to be stepping in for an elected official than it is to be an employee. It's also different when an employee has extra work because aren't you paid comp time and overtime?
I don't get overtime now,
But you get comp time.
so is Rita.
So when you work over, but again, with stepping in for an elected official is different than just having extra duties or things to do in an office. Every office is going to have an ebb and flow of things to do. You have it in the treasurer's office, you have it in the auditor's office, and you have it in the assessor's office. It is not our policy. We don't even have a place in the procedure manual that allows for supplemental income to employees that are given extra work. I've read all the minutes. I still stand behind my extra monies for my motion for extra monies for the assessor, but I cannot stand behind giving extra monies to an employee in an office when we have 200 other employees, 3 that could be sitting next to you right now asking for the exact same thing. I appreciate your experience. Your longevity will be paid with Whitley County, will be paid for by longevity. We don't compensate for other longevity with other counties. Your skill and expertise should have probably brought you in at base instead of higher in. Is that correct? You know? Because when you came in, you were experienced. If somebody would ask me, I'd have said bring her in at the regular rate because she's already has the experience we need. That way you don't have to, even though you hadn't learned the computer. I feel like the other edge of this is you were given those funds illegally by the county auditor. That's not the county council. The county council never authorized you to have those extra funds. We didn't. And I know if you have 11 years of experience in county government, you know the process, and that the only people who can get pay raises is the county council. And we didn't give those pay raises. And I don't feel like we should be sticking the taxpayers $750 because of something the auditor did. If it wants to be looked at, and I talked to State Board of Accounts, I talked to Tammy White, and she is she said that money has to come back. Now, if that money comes back and this council, as a group, with a majority vote, decides to give you extra money for the extra work that you did and set that precedent, that's up to this council. But as far as the $750, that needs to come back to the taxpayers.
And on her behalf, and the words that were spoke and the minutes that show, and I had a visit from John Barrett and Jim Bayman with reassurance that they were going to go retro for me. And the fact that it has been discussed in minutes, what exactly going retro and what kind of compensation was being referred to there, because I think I deserve some kind of an explanation as what was being referred to there. When I get a personal visit like that, that puts it on more of a personal level to me, of some kind of reassurance there that they are going to compensate me and go retro somehow. They were waiting on the caucus to take place.
Well,
And
that's a question for them.
I do not believe in any way, shape, or form, no county auditor is going to take it upon themselves to do what was done had they not truly believed that once that caucus took place, that is what was to have been done.
Jen admitted herself that there was a mistake on her
I know,
part.
but I think at this time, from reading everything, I think instead of bringing it forth at the meeting like it was last time, that we should have looked at the minutes and said, the whole retroactive for that $750, we need to just make a motion on it. There has never been another motion saying, at this time the caucus is done, we would wish to pay the deputy assessor the additional $750 that was spoken about in 3 meetings. I think that's what needs to be brought forward. My mistake of paying it out early is a whole nother thing. I paid everything that week or bi-week or whatever. I paid comp. I didn't personally. I allowed it. The comp for the employees, the vacation, the sick time, and everything. As far as I'm concerned, we still messed that up because Rita then, we took away our elected status and paid her vacation. So there's a double, and we're still allowing her to earn comp at an assessor pay. I think
Who's
there's just,
allowing her to earn comp at assessor pay?
she's still showing comp. And I don't think that's been spoken with Rita about it. I just think
Okay,
there's
so
still
that's an HR issue.
right.
And I see a number of them. I mean, that's why instead of the auditor talking to the assessor, this all has to be HR. And I understand that we went through a personnel change
Right.
for that. Again, though, that Kim's name and $750 was never linked together in this meeting that I recall. And you can watch every videotape. Her name. It was Rita's name and the $750. And that's a number I came up with on my own. So it wasn't requested. It wasn't put forth on any paper. And yes, there was talk about how are we going to make this right? When are we going to give them their right pay? There was discussion like that. And the motion was made the last time to go ahead and pay them at elected official salary and chief deputy salary. Am I correct? And that started happening in the beginning of July. So now they're working and getting paid above what they're supposed to be, which I would hope that an employee would look at and think, I'm not actually the chief deputy, but I am being compensated like the chief deputy.
But it's for the work they're doing. I still, from the discussion in the meetings and from the discussion outside, and I hate saying that I feel that the $750, when that was paid out with all the other comp and vacation, was justifiably paid. But I looked at the minutes and there was not a motion made. It was tabled from the July meeting, and I think at this time, someone needs to either step up and say, we're gonna make a vote on the $750, or we're gonna make her pay her back.
Okay, well, we have
Specifically, not
one
what I've done.
item that has not been completed yet, and that is taking back the $750 that you gave in error. And that needs to come back as a matter of paperwork and straight lines. That needs to come back somehow. I don't care if it comes back once pay, $25 a pay. I don't care how that comes back. But money that the auditor takes out for council based on not an authorized vote, and I know you think it's justified. I know you wanted that to be in there, and it happened, but it shouldn't have happened. And that needs to come back because we
I think
can't.
it needs to be taken, since it was tabled, I think a vote needs taken.
That was not tabled. There was no say. Kim and $750 was not tabled. The thing that was tabled was let's talk about this back pay. So you're getting two things straight. In fact, we had a motion at the last meeting to take back that $750. That is what this council voted for. That has to be done, and that has not been done, correct? Yet, correct?
No.
Okay, that has not been done. So that's the first thing that needs to be done. Now, if somebody else would like to make a motion on how to compensate Kim for her extra work, okay, keeping in mind that it sets precedent for all other employees, 200 plus employees. And mind you, it's work that you normally do. It's just an overload of work. It's more work that you're also getting paid comp time for. Then they can make that motion. But the point stands that there's $750 that we're supposed to get back, and we haven't gotten it back, and it should come back.
Excuse me, what level is she at now? The highest?
Pardon me?
Are you in the grand scheme of our pay
After
level?
the caucus took place?
No, in your-
I,
This is a question for Pam.
I'm sorry, we're looking.
Where is she she's not at the beginning pay, is she at the top for her job?
Yeah, she's at in the spot she should be, as
Don't
far
look
as
at
her
me.
pay.
85%.
The 85%,
Are
yeah,
is she there now?
yeah.
But she was way below that before. the
Before,
caucus.
before I came in, yes, below.
I understand.
I'm going to give my reflection of what I think happened along the way, and I don't know the dates when we did what, but when Angie announced that she was resigning, that was brought up here. I thought we discussed that Rita and Kim would step into the respective positions of assessor and deputy. And I guess I assumed that a caucus would be held shortly. I don't remember when the caucus was held after the resignation. Was it
3 days later, I think.
within 30 days? But I guess I thought then she would officially be called assessor. I guess she can't be officially called until she passes her level 3, but we didn't know that at the time. But I guess in discussions, I assumed that she was the assessor and that and Kim would be the deputy assessor, and that would happen, pretty shortly, and then we would retroactively go back to the day they actually assumed those duties and pay them accordingly. I mean, that was the way I thought it was discussed. I had no idea that we would drag on several months waiting on Rita to be certified as a level 3, but I thought that would happen quicker than it has. But my take on it was that we agreed that, I don't know, we took a vote on it or had a motion for it, but I thought we kind of was of the understanding that we were going to pay them retroactively for them positions. And the figure of $750, I don't know where that figure come from or
That
how that
was
was
for me.
derived.
In my motion for
That
Rita.
was- So you made the motion for the $750. I mean, that was
For Rita.
But I,
If we
like I
do it
say,
the
but
way
I thought
he
the
says it,
discussion
that's a
was,
lot
that's the way
more
we was
money.
gonna do it, pay them retroactively to
tons
the
of
date they
money.
took over. But I guess I assumed that was gonna happen, within 30 days or so, which it hasn't.
Well, $750 we're talking about, is that the difference between what she would have made as chief deputy
No.
and what we
Well,
actually
that's
paid
just
her?
an arbitrary
Yeah.
figure.
Or is that just an arbitrated?
Yeah, that's a figure that when I was speaking it, I thought, what's the value of this? And that's, I have to go between 500 and 1,000 to 750.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On precedents you're speaking of, why does the chief deputy make 85% of the elected official's pay?
Because the elected official normally can hire and fire their own chief deputy at will. And so when the elected official gets hired, it's a pretty common rule throughout the state of Indiana that they make 85% or sometimes it's 90% of the elected official pay because they can be let go at any time they serve at the elected official's pleasure.
This
But
would have been
the chief deputy does make a higher pay of the elected official's pay for possibly added responsibility to and the elected official herself, because she or that person would be put in charge in the absence of the elected official.
Obviously, the chief deputy is in that position, but the 85% is just basically if the elected official is paid so much money, we're gonna pay the chief deputy 85% of that. That can account for everything that they have to do.
'Cause
Supervision of the employees, everything that has to be done.
That was just our decision locally, we decided 85, it could have been 70.
But it is a common practice throughout the state.
But it's
Because
not.
not every
not
county
really.
has chief deputies.